Hello, good morning. Welcome back to VMware iSCSI learning series. So, in the last part, we have completed up to step number 65. We have created our ESX host 02 virtual machine through VMware workstation. So, let's move on to the next step. So next step is we need to power off all the three VMs, that is Windows 2022 DC, ESX host 01 and ESX host 02 through VMware workstation. Okay, uh, so I will come back to my VMware workstation console first, and there is a way to power off your ESX host. You cannot directly right click and say power off, it will crash otherwise. So there is a way. So I will tell you both the ways. There are two legal ways to power off your ESX host. So first way is go to the console of your ESX host and press F12. Once you press F12, it will ask for the root password. I will enter the root password, and now it will ask you for the different options, F2 for shutdown and F11 for restart. And if your ESX host is already hosting virtual machine, so you can select the above option, forcefully terminate running VMs if any. But as of now, we don't have any running VMs, or we have not created any VMs on ESX host, so leave that option, and I will directly press F2 over here. Okay, so now it is shutting down the host, and my way of shut down those machines are, I'm always shutting down in a reverse way. So first I will shut down the ESX host 02, which I have just completed. Okay, now ESX host 01. Now I will tell you another way to shut down this host. So we'll go back to our DC system, open your browser and log in to your ESX host using web console. So this we have already seen in the last part, how to log in, how to access this. This is a simple HTTPS 192.168.1.7. Okay, so once logged in, there is an option called shutdown over here. It's a simple option, so I will say shutdown, and one more time shutdown. So immediately if I'm coming back here to my ESX host, so you can see over here it will shut down automatically because we have put in the shutdown command from our web console. So these are the proper legal ways to shut down your ESX host. Okay, so both ESX hosts are shut down now. Now I will come back to my DC and I will shut down this machine also. This is a simple one, Windows machine shutdown. Okay, so let it shut down, then we will move on to the next step. Okay, so all the three VMs have been shut down now. Let's move on to the next step. So next step is through Windows 2022 DC VM system, add one more network adapter as VMnet 2. Okay, so I will come back here and go to the settings of this particular VM Win2022 DC, and there is already one network adapter. This is for our primary connectivity, but we need to add one more. So I will say add network adapter and finish, and this network adapter 2 I will choose as again VMnet 2. Okay, and I will say okay over here. So now if I'm going one more time to the settings, it will show two network adapters, network adapter 1, network adapter 2. Okay, so this step is completed. Why we require this, I will explain you in a minute. Now next is we need to add one more virtual hard disk as 500 GB on Win2022 DC VM. So what I'm doing is, again I'm going to the settings of this machine and here I will say add and hard disk. Okay, I will say next. So this is a recommended one, that's fine. I will say next, create a new virtual disk. Next, here I will give the size as 500 GB and store the virtual as a single file. Next, and you can name whatever you want to, but I'm just leaving the default name. I will say browse, and I will come back here and I will go to my VMs folder and I will store it in my DC VMware and then DC folder. This is our primary hard disk which is already there, but this is a secondary hard disk. So I will say save and finish. Okay, so we have added one more hard disk over here. We have added one more network adapter also over here. Why do we require it? I'm just explaining it. Okay, so next is configure the new VMDK 500 GB under Windows 2022 DC as D drive. So I'm coming back here and I'm starting my DC system. So our Windows 2022 DC system got up. Now I will take RDP session. And let's move on to our PPT for the next step. So we need to configure our VMDK 500 GB under Windows 2022 DC as D drive. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm coming back to my DC system. I'm going to the disk management. So, it has detected the secondary disk, so I will say OK. Now first I need to change this CD-ROM drive from D to E so that I can assign D drive to my secondary hard disk. So I will say OK, yes. And now this secondary disk, next, D drive it will automatically take because it's available now. Next, finish. Okay, now this has been configured as a D drive. Okay, if I'm closing this and if I'm coming in my Windows Explorer, it will show the 500 GB D drive. Okay, so this step is completed. Let's move on. So in the next step, on Windows 2022 DC VM, assign additional IP to second network adapter as follows. So 192.168.1.34 and subnet mask 255.255.255.0, default gateway 192.168.1.100, DNS 192.168.1.100. Okay, so I'm coming back here. I'm going to the network properties and you can see over here this is our second network adapter what we have just added, right? The first one is already there. Second one, I will go to the properties, remove IP6, and then I will assign one IP over here, 192.168.1.34. Subnet mask it will automatically take. Default gateway 192.168.1.100 and DNS also 192.168.1.100. Okay, just say OK over here, OK over here. Okay, So sometimes it is disconnecting with your MSTSC session because we have just given us some different IP to our network second network adapter. So that's fine. So now this has been completed. Okay. And if I am just reconfirming it with IP config, so this is our primary IP 1.100 and this is our secondary IP 1.34. Okay, let's move on to the next step. So we need to start both ESX host 01 and 02 VMs also. Now let me go back here and I will start both the VMs now. Okay, now by the time it is starting and booting, I'm telling you what we are going to do in this particular part. We are actually creating a iSCSI target server as a SAN storage server, and that SAN storage we will assign to our ESX host. Why do you require SAN storage? Because it will be a common storage for storing the virtual machines. If your ESX hosts are having common storage, then only the vMotion or HA or DRS, these functionalities will work, right? So we will be creating one common storage as a iSCSI target storage through our Windows 2022 DC server. There is an option for iSCSI target server. So we will see that option, how to configure and all these things. Okay. So the first one is online now. Let me start the second one also. Okay. So I'm repeating one more time. We are creating iSCSI target server for creating and configuring our common storage for ESX host 01 and 02 for storing our virtual machines, so that we can test our vMotion, HA or DRS functionalities. Okay, I hope I am clear. If not, you can reverse this video and listen to this explanation one more time. Okay, so our ESX host 02 is also almost done with the rebooting. Yes, it is done. Okay, so now all the three machines are back online. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, so next step is through Windows 2022 DC system, open server manager, add roles and features, and under that server roles, file storage services, file and iSCSI services, iSCSI target server, next and install. So we'll go step by step. I will come back to my DC system, close this. I will open the server manager. Click on add roles and features, next. Make sure it is showing the correct FQDN and correct IP. It should show two IPs over here now, right? Okay, next. And under the file and storage services, file and iSCSI services, there is an option called iSCSI target server. So let's re-verify that we are going to the correct option. So file and iSCSI services, iSCSI target server. Okay, so this one, iSCSI target server, next, again next, and finally install. So this is one useful feature where your Windows server or any Windows server system, not Active Directory Domain Controller, because we are using ADDC, but any Windows server can act as an iSCSI target or as an SAN storage target. Okay, so we are utilizing our Windows 2022 DC system as a iSCSI target also, right? So if you remember, by the time it is installing, let me go back here and let me open our lab setup. So if you remember, our DC system, what roles we have specified over here: Active Directory Domain Controller and iSCSI target server. So now we are configuring this Windows 2022 DC as an iSCSI target server. Okay, for what purpose? For assigning a common SAN storage to our ESX host 01 and 02. Okay, so I hope I'm clear. I've explained it 2-3 times. Okay, so coming back to our system, so installation succeeded. I will say close, and as I'm always doing, I'm restarting this machine once. Okay, so by the time it is restarting, let's see what could be our next step. So this is the same step. One iSCSI target server roles gets installed, restart to your DC system. This is what we have already done. So let me reconnect. Okay, so our DC is back online. Let's move on to our next step. So next step is through Windows 2022 DC system, open PowerShell admin mode and enter following command. So what command we need to enter? Get Windows feature fs iSCSI target server. Okay, so this is just for reconfirmation that our iSCSI target server feature has been installed correctly or not. Okay, so I'm coming back here and PowerShell ISC, we pin to the taskbar, right click, run as an administrator. Okay, and now I will enter this particular command over here. Get Windows features fs iSCSI target server. And now you can see, let me just adjust it one more time. I will just enter because it is not showing in a correct display way. Now it is showing. Now you can see our iSCSI target server, it is installed correctly. Okay, so this is for the confirmation command, get Windows feature fs iSCSI target server. Okay, so let's go back to our PPT. This step is completed. So as I explained you earlier, this command is to get the confirmation about iSCSI target service feature installation state. Okay, now the next command is very important. We need to enter one more command through PowerShell only. new iSCSI virtual disk, and then path is D iSCSI 400 GB VSDX size 400 GB. Now what it is doing is, it is creating one virtual hard disk, and it will be used, that virtual hard disk will be used as our iSCSI target, and size will be 400 GB. Okay, I hope I am clear. Okay, let me just re-explain over here. If I am coming back here and opening my D drive, it is size is 500 GB. So inside this D drive we are creating one VHD which will be 400 GB, and that VHD will be used as our iSCSI SAN storage. Okay, so for creating that particular vSAN virtual hard disk, we need to enter this command. So what I'm doing is, I'm coming back here and I'm just copying this whole command so that it will save our time, and then I will come back here to my DC system and enter this command. Okay, so command is, I'm again explaining, new iSCSI virtual disk, path will be D drive iSCSI 400 GB VSDX. Now it is always recommended that whatever size you are specifying over here, your actual physical hard disk should be greater than that. That's why we have created our physical hard disk as 500 GB, but we are actually creating our virtual disk as 400 GB. So 100 GB is like buffer size. Okay, I hope you got my point. So this command, and I'm now hitting enter, and now you can see this command is completed successfully. Let's go back to our D drive and you can see this virtual hard disk is created. Let me just enable the extension of that particular file so that you will get more feel of it. You can see VHDX. So this is a virtual hard disk of 400 GB which has been created. Now we will utilize this virtual hard disk, 400 GB virtual hard disk, as our vSAN storage. Okay, I hope I'm clear with this step. Okay, so let's go back to our next step. This step is completed. Okay, next step. So next step is we have already verified that the new iSCSI VSD has been created inside D drive of Windows 2022 DC system.